This programme has learned that the Elton John AIDS Foundation has offered to pay for HIV testing in GP surgeries and hospitals with the highest rates of HIV in England. Journalist and GP Dr. Faye Kirkland has the story. Hi. Why is this important?
It's so important because we know that 103,000 people are living with HIV in the UK, and that 17% of people are living with the infection and unaware that they have the illness. So there's some new guidance out today by NICE on World AIDS Day, and what it's trying to do is trying to find those people who don't know that they have the infection.
OK. What does the new guidance say?
It's saying in England, where there are high or extremely high rates of HIV, if you're a patient who goes to a hospital and has to be admitted or ends up in the emergency department and you're having bloods for a reason, they should also be tested for HIV. And in extremely high areas, you should also be offered an HIV test, even if you're not being offered any other blood test as part of the admission. But not only that, if you end up going to a GP and you're registering, you should be offered an HIV test when you register with your GP practice.
OK, so these are similar to guidelines we talked previously about on the programme.
Yeah, they are similar to guidelines which have been produced before by the British HIV Association 3 years ago, but they are more robust and go further than any other testing guidance has done previously in the UK.
And this is the first time, I think, that NICE has said this should happen.
Absolutely. Before NICE just used the word consider. Now, it's really important to understand that it's the local councils who are now responsible for testing in areas with high rates of HIV in this way. And as we discussed before, my previous investigation showed that on the old testing guidelines, only 70% of local councils were funding GPs to test, and only 82% of hospitals weren't funding in this way.
What have HIV charities and the Local Government Association said about the new NICE guidelines then?
Well, I spoke to two leading HIV charities, the Terence Higgins Trust, the British HIV Association, and both really welcome these new robust guidelines, but they're very worried that actually local councils will not be able to afford to fund them. And actually, when I spoke to the Local Governments Association, they actually said that to be able to fund to these guidelines would be an unmanageable burden.
OK. Department of Health, what have they had to say?
Well, the Department of Health said that they've got £16 billion extra for public health funding in the next 5 years. And they've also said that they're planning to do more on HIV prevention, and they're going to announce that shortly with NHS England and Public Health England. Earlier in October, we spoke to Vanessa Roberts, who had HIV for 30 years before she was diagnosed.
In 1983, while I was at university in Aberdeen, I was hospitalised with a mystery virus, that's what it was called. And I was hospitalised for a few days, and then I was told, you've had a virus, we don't know what it was, but it's gone now, you're fine, you know. And that was it for 31 years. The medications these days are pretty non-toxic, there are very few side effects, you can live a normal life with them. You also quickly become something called undetectable. And this means that the viral load, the viral level in your blood is so low that you're uninfectious. Right. And you can't actually transmit the virus even through unprotected sex. So it's absolutely vital for everybody that has this virus in their body to become aware of their status, to get on the medication and to become undetectable. And that way we eradicate the virus.
Faye, thank you very much. Stay with us. Also here is Anne Aslett, who is the Executive Director of the Elton John AIDS Foundation. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Thank you for coming on our programme. What do you think of these recommendations made by NICE?
They're absolutely great, and we're completely thrilled. I think for a long time most people in the sector have known that this was needed badly, and so we completely and utterly endorse them.
Why is it needed badly, as you put it?
Because we've reached a plateau with preventing new infections of HIV in the UK. And although a lot of things have worked very well, condom distribution and public health campaigns and so on, we just aren't reaching that last cohort of people who are becoming infected. So the best way to do that is to make testing more available. Surely councils just don't have the cash to pay for this, though. Well, that's the challenge, because we all know that it's the right thing to do, but there is a money problem, as we know, within the NHS. We're already working in the highest HIV prevalence borough in the UK, in Lambeth. We provided the funding for King's College Hospital to start to implement these guidelines before NICE put them out, because we knew it would make such a huge difference. And now we'd like to work more generally in the borough with GPs and other medical services and local authority to make that happen.
And when you say work more with them in the borough, are you saying that the Elton John AIDS Foundation is going to pay for this testing in Lambeth?
Yes, we've secured funding so that for the next couple of years, we believe that we could provide the funding to enable them to implement the NICE guidelines. And the great thing about that would be that once people are tested and put on treatment, they're no longer infectious because the medicines are so effective. At the moment, 17% of people in the UK don't know they're infected. And so
17%?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so not only are they risking getting sick, they're also risking infecting someone else. So we really think it's a very compelling thing to do. We're a UK charity. We funded just about every HIV service in this country, and we really want to help.
How much are you funding in Lambeth? How much cash is going to Lambeth for this?
Well, so far, and it's not huge amounts of money, so far the partnership with King's College was £270,000, and so we have some budgets to work out with the local authority, but we're talking about something in maybe 10 times that.
Right, so it's not an insignificant sum when you're talking about local authorities finding the money to pay for this.
No, it absolutely isn't, with all the other priorities that they've got to look at. But the reason why we feel it's so compelling is because if you find people now, not only do they not get sick, where they cost 10 times as much money to the NHS, they also don't infect anyone else. And the lifetime treatment costs of HIV is in the region of 360,000. So for every person you find and put on treatment, you don't have another 1, 2, 3 extra people who then become infected themselves. So it's a huge money saver down the line.
Yeah.
It's just that local authorities are strapped for the cash to do it right now.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thanks for coming on the programme. Anne Aslett, Executive Director of the Elton John AIDS Foundation. And Faye, thank you very much as well. And on the programme tomorrow, we will be speaking exclusively to Sir Elton John about his work for his AIDS Foundation and plenty more as well.